Hello and welcome. This is Alan from Acupuncture Gold Coast and Acupuncture Brisbane. Today I'd like to take a couple of minutes of your time and talk about fibromyalgia. In some senses we could call this the scourge of the 21st century. I'm sure in previous times many people have suffered from fibromyalgia without having that actual name or pattern imprinted upon their aches and their pains. Essentially speaking, fibromyalgia is an overall body pain. It's almost at a cellular level, where the sufferer experiences aches and pains over the entire body. So the arms and the legs, well, they're major areas where people will experience significant discomfort. But lower back, neck and shoulders also prevail very prominently in this disorder. So fibromyalgia is it's a term a bit like chronic fatigue syndrome. When someone's experiencing fatigue all the time, then the tendency is in the West we want to categorise everything, so we categorise people with exhaustion as having chronic fatigue. We categorise people who have chronic body pain, we categorise them as having fibromyalgia. So it's not a specific problem as such, but an overall heading which embraces many different conditions according to traditional Chinese, Japanese or Oriental medicine, East Asian medicine per se. Fibromyalgia from traditional East Asian perspective is a consequence and a result of a number of factors. In the background there's often a genetic or a constitutional factor where the individual is predisposed towards suffering this type of ailment. In addition to that, there's the lifestyle factor, which is a major scenario, in as much as someone whose immune system has been compromised with different viruses or bacterial infection, who continues to push themselves physically and mentally, or physically or mentally, into high stress scenarios, and who are either constitutionally compromised or been compromised by previous illness. These people will tend towards a condition like fibromyalgia, and in some cases chronic fatigue syndrome. But we're focusing on the fibromyalgia in this particular instance. So the condition manifests more prominently as pain and discomfort, as distinct from total exhaustion with less pain or discomfort. So there's kind of like a fine line, but both from an Oriental medical perspective, evidence of the individual of having pushed their billy cart. And for those of you that are too young to know what a billy cart is, that basically means of having made extraordinary effort over an extended period of time under duress. This is where the fibromyalgia can come from. There are other situations, things like constant exposure to air conditioning units on a particular part of the body can help or aggravate this situation, but essentially speaking, it's what we call the spleen deficiency in Oriental medicine, which is an essential deficiency of the earth element, which is the structure that powers our unit, both mentally and physically. With traditional Oriental medicine, East Asian medicine, traditional acupuncture, especially the style of acupuncture that I practice, which is a very gentle, what we call meridian-based style of acupuncture that originated thousands of years ago, but has been extrapolated and refined by the Japanese in the last century. It is just a wonderful way to work with people suffering from this condition, in as much as it is pain-free in itself. It doesn't require deep needling, especially with fibromyalgia and also chronic fatigue, but especially with fibromyalgia. If we needle too deeply and cause too much disturbance of the tissue, this will often aggravate the situation rather than ameliorate it. So the traditional Japanese acupuncture per se is, I found in my experience, certainly my clinical experience, a wonderful way to approach this clinical scenario and assist people to overcome the debilitating condition. This is Alan from Acupuncture Gold Coast and Acupuncture Brisbane saying thank you very much for taking the time.